Hello, everybody. Peter Dennis here. Today, my guest is Susie Beiler. And Susie's kind of a multi-talented individual. She's a spiritual guide, but that encompasses a lot of things. Really, one of her main focuses is to help clients discover exactly what their soul purpose is when they incarnate on planet Earth, and then help them to live their lives in accordance with that soul agreement, that soul plan. She also happens to be a channeler, and that's how I got onto her. But anyway, Susie, welcome. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks for having me.
Did I miss anything in that introduction?
That was perfect.
Okay, good. Well, Susie, I think our audience would be interested in knowing just a little about yourself. You know, where you grew up, what kind of schooling you did, jobs you've had, things like that. Just give us a little background.
Okay, here we go. So I actually grew up in Pennsylvania. I grew up Mennonite, which is part of the Christian religion. And if you're not familiar with Mennonites, it's a very, for the most part, very conservative a way to grow up. And that came, it's a double-edged sword that came with its blessings and it came with the downsides as well. Then in December of 2004, I experienced a spiritual awakening, which also included physical healing in my body. And that was a pretty miraculous experience.
Mm.
And I had a career as a pediatric occupational therapist. So I studied the physical body, I studied the mind, the emotion. Occupational therapy is a holistic way of looking at a human. So I have that Western model background that included some of the holistic aspects as well. So I feel like I have a pretty well-rounded education in terms of what I do now because of my career, but also I went to nutrition school about 20 years ago, and then I had a mentor for 20 years. So because of my unique path, I had someone that was guiding me and there for me, kind of holding my hand when I needed it and when I had
Mm.
questions about things. So that's one of the things that inspired me to do what I do with clients is, they get a little hand holding when they need it because this life can be confusing and isn't always straightforward.
Yes, yes. It's interesting that you studied nutrition. Many people who are on a spiritual path overlook that aspect.
Hmm.
And I tend to look at life as sort of a three-legged stool, mind, body, spirit.
Mhm.
And you've got to take care of that body. You've got to be eating high vibrational foods. And yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, well, you became a channeler at some point. How did that happen?
So the partner that I was with at the time asked me a question, and I started giving him this elaborate answer. And I was like, wow, this is really deep and thorough, and I don't know half the stuff that I'm saying. So I stopped at one point and I was like, who or what is speaking through me? And it was a
Mm.
very spontaneous thing. I'd never done this before, but I knew it wasn't my information. It wasn't my direct wisdom. And so I was like, who or what is speaking through me? And the answer was Prime Creator. And so then we asked, well, that sounds cool. But who or what is Prime Creator? And the answer to that was, I am the highest vibrations of love and light. And in the past 9.5 years since that started, I've come to understand that that really is, it's it's the all-knowing knowledge of everything. And the only thing that limits my ability to bring through that information is my ability.
Mhm.
My own filters, my own belief systems, my own lack of knowing something. For example, today a client was asking about where do I go in Spain, and I don't know Spain. I don't know the names of the towns. I don't know the geography, the areas. But immediately, what came through was Southwest Spain, and that's all the information I was given. So maybe if I had known Spain, maybe I would have been able to tune in and hone in a little bit more clearly and get more information. I don't know, but that's kind of an example of how it works for me.
Yeah. How long ago would that have been?
That was 9.5 years ago. So that was June of 2015.
So I'll bet that was a real turning point in your life, wasn't it?
Yeah.
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 What's different for you now as a result of that, do you think?
One of the greatest blessings that I personally have received from this channeling journey is being able to see humans and life through the eyes of love. So when I'm with a client and I'm bringing Prime Creator through, I don't see that person through my judgments or my lens or my filters. I see that person from the greater perspective at the soul level of why something maybe happened, or why they have a proclivity towards this, or why they do a certain thing. And Prime Creator is just unconditionally loving. And so I get to see people from those eyes of unconditional love. And it's the most beautiful thing I've probably ever experienced, really. It's
Yeah.
helped me to soften my own heart.
Most humans just don't really experience that, do they?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Dogs, maybe.
Right? Dogs. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a couple of grand dogs, and yeah, they just keep coming back. They love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Susie, perhaps you could bring in Prime Creator for us, and I could have a brief chat with Prime Creator, and we'll get, I'm sure, some wisdom and some information that we can all use. So
Okay.
go ahead.
Is there a question you would like to ask, dear one?
Yes, there is. But first, I would like to thank you very much for being here and giving me this opportunity to speak with you. Um, as Prime Creator, I'm wondering why it is that you're getting involved at this time with humanity. There are a number of other beings who are doing that, civilizations, ascended masters, etc. But as the Prime Creator, I can imagine that you got the ball rolling, so to speak, of creation. And many of these other beings and civilizations are running with that, experiencing, creating, etc. Why is it that you're involved with humanity at this time?
Dear one, I have always been involved with humanity. I have always been involved with all life. It is not that I have suddenly emerged during this time, but what you are witnessing is an increase in frequency of humanity, of planet Earth, an ascension process. And so there are many energy streams coming into your galaxy, coming into your planet at this time. And you are seeing also an evolution of sorts in terms of some humans' abilities to bring through higher frequencies. And so this is what you are witnessing as this channel brings through my energy, as other channels bring through my energy. It appears perhaps to you that I am more involved than I was before, but this is not the truth. I have always been involved, but there are now more souls, more channels who are able to bring through my energy. And so you are witnessing more of me, perhaps.
Mhm. Can you give us a few specifics of your involvement? What exactly are you doing?
I will do my best to explain through this channel, dear one.
Yes.
I am activating, guiding, allowing, overseeing, if you will. My role is not one of control, as each being has free will and free choice. But I do provide energy, I do provide frequency to this planet and to humanity. I do engage directly with souls who want to engage with me. And so it is more of a role of overseeing, and there are times where I may step in to a greater degree to offer protection or to offer more guidance. If you can understand that each soul has a God spark within,
Mm-hmm.
each soul is connected to God. And so for those beings who wish to maintain that God connection, I am there. I am guiding. I am offering energy. I'm offering love.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that God spark within every soul, and I have heard of the term the spirit as distinct from the soul, but I also seem to hear it as though they may be one thing. Would you clarify, please, what the spirit is, if it is distinct from the soul, and what the respective roles might be?
They are very connected, yet, yes, it is distinct. The spirit is more individually associated with each human. You have heard of the human spirit. So when a soul takes human incarnation, the spirit is born out of this incarnation. And each time the soul takes another incarnation, there is a renewed spirit. In other words, it is not completely new because it carries on from the previous incarnation, but there is a renewing because there is a new energy with each human form. Was there another question that you had?
Yes. As they do seem to be different entities, what is their respective roles? I've understood that the spirit might be the force that animates the body and possibly sets direction, but I'm not certain about that. And I think our audience would love to hear that distinction.
The role of the soul, I will start there because this is the foundation. The role of the soul is for the soul journey to go through incarnations, forms, formlessness, many realms, realities, timelines, time spirals, spaces, dimensions, etc., and to coalesce wisdom, to, in some cases, learn, in other cases, pick up energy signatures and codes, and to continuously expand and evolve. This is the role of the soul. The spirit is part of consciousness and part of the conscience of a human. We will speak of the human spirit and not all spirits, just the human spirit for context. So the human spirit is part of the breath of the human, the inspiration, the expiration, the inhale, the exhale, the movement of life through the human. It is part of what gives the human life. And it is also part of what guides a human's conscience. It is part of what motivates a human. It is eternal in a sense, because energy always exists. The role of the spirit it is difficult to put it in a succinct way of understanding because it is so deep and encompassing for a human. A human is not alive without the spirit.
It animates the body.
Yes, to some degree, although the soul is also part of this animation, the personality is also part of this animation, but it does play a role in this, yes.
I can see this is very complex, and for human consciousness and human vocabulary, it may be pretty impossible to fully explain it. And fair enough, that's a great start. And
because of the etheric nature of the spirit, it is difficult to find correct language to accurately describe what it is, because it is etheric, it is vast. Like a vapor that you would see in the air that coalesces and dissipates, spirit is much like this, where it can coalesce to be with a human, but it can also be like a vapor and dissipate and spread out, so to speak. And so it is not a concrete thing that is easily understood or easily described.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for that. That gives us a fair bit to chew on, so to speak. Maybe something a little more concrete. From your perspective, how is ascension going right now? Are we moving along rather well? Are we a bit stalled? How would you characterize it?
It is going beautifully, dear one. All is in divine order. Some things are even going better than anticipated. It is important to understand that ascension is not a solid timeline where at this date, this will happen, and at this date, this will happen, and humanity will do this at this time. It is not like that, because it is driven by humanity in a large sense. Again, we go back to free will and free choice. Humans decide what they are committed to. Humans decide what choices they are going to make with their spiritual connections, with their spiritual gifts, how they decide to navigate their incarnation on this planet. To a large extent, humans decide this. And yes, they are heavily programmed and have been influenced in this way. But at the end of the day, it is up to humanity how all of this goes. There are measures and supports and assistance that are put into place to guide humanity. Yes, this happens, but it is always the choice of the human how they navigate.
Humanity had a coach, and that coach had your perspective. What would the coach say to humanity that would assist them in their evolution, perhaps the most?
Well, humanity did have a coach. His name was Jesus.
Mm.
And Jesus lived by example and also lived through his teachings and continues to live on through his teachings. And so that coach and those messages, those teachings are still available for humanity. And there are some very simple things. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Follow me. You shall do greater things than I have done. These are just some examples of his messages.
Mm-hmm. He told me once that loving oneself is paramount. Would you agree?
Yes, dear one.
Yeah, thank you.
This goes back to a conversation you had with this channel where you talked about the body.
Mm.
The body is the sacred temple that houses your soul, that houses your spirit. So honoring the body is of utmost importance. And this is what self-love means. It is not an egocentric type of expression. It is an honoring of the human body, the human self.
Mm. I'm a little mindful of the clock here, and I'm wondering if, before we wrap up, is there a message that you would like to get to humanity? My intention is to get this video out to as many people as possible, but what would you say to humanity at this time?
Dear ones, each of you is unique. And in your uniqueness, you may feel alone, you may feel misunderstood, you may feel confused about who you are because perhaps you are different from your family members, or perhaps you do not fit into your culture or society. This is a good thing, dear ones. This is what I would like you to remember, that when you feel alone, when you feel like you don't fit in, when you feel like you don't belong anywhere, this is a good thing because it means that your belonging is not in this world. Your belonging is in the heavenly realms, and you are here to bring those heavenly realms through you to this planet. And the reason it feels like you do not fit in is because you don't, and you are not supposed to. You are meant to fit in the heavenly realms, and some of you remember your experiences there, and you are meant to bring through those frequencies, those codes and energy signatures. Heaven on earth is the term frequently used. So next time you feel like you don't fit in, ask yourself, how can I bring heaven through me even more? How can I bring heaven to this planet? And then you will feel more belonging. I thank you, dear ones.
Just picking up on that point. Oh, Susie, are you back?
Go ahead.
Oh, um, how can one do that? Is there a technique or a tip, such as expanding one's heart, or what do you suggest somebody do to
First
recall?
is the
Oh, go ahead.
First is the intention.
Mhm.
Yes, I wish to be a channel for heaven on earth. And second is the lifestyle. Living a lifestyle of purity, which is not easy because of how many distractions there are here on this planet, how many genetically modified foods, as an example, how many TV shows and movies there are to fill your mind. So purity is important. And also living from the heart, doing your best to work with your heart, expand your heart, listen to your heart, listen to God. It is important that you understand that this is not an easy path, should you choose to walk the purity path. But the more pure you are, the greater heaven can move through you to this planet.
Mhm. Well, thank you for that. That's very uplifting, comforting. Thank you very much for being here, Prime Creator, and for your messages today. Thank you.
Thank you, dear one.
Susie, just take your time. Come on back.
Wow, it was beautiful.
Yeah. Now, are you conscious of everything that's being transmitted here?
Yes.
You
I
are.
don't always remember everything, but
Mhm.
but I am aware. Yes.
Yeah, I certainly don't recall everything that goes by me, but I would have to listen to that again to get all the finer points.
Yeah.
But you're a conscious channeler versus a trance channeler. We could
Correct.
say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. How do you feel after that?
Well, I feel a little bit emotional. The the part where I thought we were ending, I forget now what was even being said, but I still feel the energy of it. The part about if you feel like you don't belong, it's because you're not supposed to belong. And this message has never come through me before, quite like this. So it really hits home. It really hits my heart. I was talking to a friend the other day about this, and I was like, well, maybe you're not supposed to feel like you belong. Maybe because you don't. Like, maybe you're not supposed to feel like that.
Yeah. I was tempted to ask, well, what if you do feel you fit in?
That's beautiful too. I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it absolutely is. But the other opens the opportunity to bring in more.
Yeah. I feel like that message was very specific for a few people at this time. I know right now a lot of people are kind of struggling to be here or wanting to be here. They're kind of wanting to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
now, with bringing through this message and some conversations I've been having with friends, I feel like the reason they're feeling that is because they are meant to bring through heaven. They're meant to bring through those other frequencies, those other realms to this place. Like, isn't that why we came here? So yeah, it's a lot to
I'm
absorb
sure.
into, right?
Yeah, I'm sure we knew what we were getting into when we signed up. But here we are.
But then we were born and we forgot all of it. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Susie, this has been wonderful. And, yeah, you want to ask before we end this, can people get in touch with you if they'd like
Yeah.
to? What's the best way?
Great. People can go to creationtemple.com/contact.
Good.
No
And I'll
problem.
put that at the end of this on a little screen for people to copy. Well, Susie, thank you. This has been really good. It was very profound. And clearly you run with that kind of information really well. I can imagine your clients really benefit.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And we will be in touch. Bye for now. And bye, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.